Hello, Pisces rising. It's Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology. We're going to go over October and November for you. So why not? Let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to refer back a little bit to um, earlier in October, even though I'm recording this October 27th. I've done my best. Saturn square my Mercury. Don't worry about it. It's crazy. It's been insane for me. So I'm just glad I'm here recording this video even. So let's go ahead and share my little infographics with you. So we've got October up here, and we can look at the solar eclipse in Libra, which was October 14th. And that for you is in your eighth house of loss. It can be shared resources, inheritance, empowerment, sexuality, contracts. You are leaving behind something in that area. Okay. And I happen to know some Pisces risings who have gone through some losses. And the solar eclipse really brought that home, I think. However, Venus, which rules it, is in the seventh house of relationships. So, as much as you're leaving something behind in your eighth house of shared resources, you are also focusing in on relationships, cooperation, agreements, and how that can be more supported in your life. And sometimes, in order to do that, we have to leave behind something that's been holding us back in that area of contracts, in that area of empowerment or disempowerment, and knowing that we have maybe a relationship in place that will help us raise our stock in that area. Okay. So let's go ahead and fast forward to now. We're at the 27th and 28th, which is going to involve Scorpio and Taurus. Okay. Mars, Mercury, and the Sun are in Scorpio. Scorpio is your ninth house of travel, belief, philosophy, and truth. Mars is action, Mercury's thought, the Sun is purpose, and that's all being highlighted. Your philosophy, traveling, truth, higher education, teaching, learning, expanding your horizons. However, the lunar eclipse and Jupiter and Uranus have been in your third house of communications, local community, learning, decision making, community, siblings. So that might come up as well. The lunar eclipse is kind of closing out a theme. So the theme being how I communicate, how I speak up for myself, how I learn, how I listen. And there has been a lot of energy there. For the last 18 months, the North Node eclipse was there. Now it's just Jupiter and Uranus and this full moon lunar eclipse that will be there, but it's a hybrid eclipse. The North Node is in Aries, which is your second house of money. So in April, that's going to be the major theme. This one's just the hybrid, closing out this third house. The way I communicate, the way I talk, the way I think, the way I make decisions is setting me up for new values, new self worth, a new sense of abundance, and growing my finances. Okay. The difference is this third ninth house opposition can be a lot of big feelings because it's big feelings in your beliefs, big feelings and coming across in the way you speak. Just remember that I think that if you stay focused on Venus being in your seventh house of relationships and communicating in a way that makes sense, the way people can understand you and understand where you're coming from and where you're going, and also your truth and your belief and your philosophy, I think that's going to be important. But yeah, I think there's been changes going on in this very abstract mind area for you. And this lunar eclipse is going to bring that up. I think in a good way. Jupiter is in your third house of communication. It's ruled by Venus in Virgo in your seventh house of relationships. So there's a lot of good communication going on, probably a lot of waxing poetic about philosophy, maybe even some travel. All right. So then the 30th and 31st, Venus is trine Uranus. Okay. Venus in your seventh house, yay, relationships, trine change in communication, in community, in learning. So for instance, if you've recently moved, you got a new community, you're building new relationships. This is supportive. This is really good. Venus is showing you the new people that you can be hanging out with and introducing you to new people. It's a very social, opportunistic time around this Venus trine Uranus. It's supportive. All right, let's move on to November. Not that, but this. We're in November now. Share. Okay. All right, Pisces risings, November. On November 1st, the Sun opposes Jupiter. The Sun is in your ninth house of philosophy. Jupiter's in your third house of communication. It's carrying on the eclipse themes, okay? So, communicating, philosophizing, listening, learning, maybe even adventure. On the third and fourth, this gets kind of squirrely. Venus opposes Neptune, Mercury opposes Uranus, and Saturn goes direct. Okay, so Venus is in your seventh house of relationships. Neptune's in your first house of self, and you may feel a little lost around this time, clouded, not sure exactly who you are, what you're doing in life. Luckily, Saturn being in your first house of self is building and it's going direct there. And I think that's going to help, but just be aware there may be some confusion and some unexpected events because Mercury in your ninth house of philosophy, the way you think, the things you think you know, oppose change in this communication local community area. So, it could be changes in the outer world that affect you. It also could be changes in your inner world that you have to communicate to people and say, this is who I am. All right, so let's look at November 6th, Venus trine Pluto. Venus in your seventh house of relationships, trine Pluto, which is in your 11th house of goals, networking, and friendships and long term aspirations. This is a really, really good time to make new connections. Okay. And then Mercury, which is in your ninth house of philosophy, travel, truth, and learning and belief, is trine Neptune in your first house of self. So you've got relationships, connections. This is a good time to get out there and say, look at me, listen to me, be friends with me, all of the connective things and goals, and just the Rubik's Cube is coming together, okay, in all of these areas. On the 8th, Venus moves into Libra. Libra is your 8th house of shared resources, sexuality contracts, other people's money, investments, inheritance. And this is a time when you may be saying, does this work for me or not? Venus is good. Venus brings gifts. Maybe someone gives you money. Eventually, though, Venus is going to hit the south node, which is where the solar eclipse was. The south node of Libra, and there will be a composting of something. This contract isn't going to work for me, or sharing resources in this way may not work for me. So that's something to note. But I think most of the Venus in Libra transit will be good. On the 10th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is your 10th house of career, which is good. Mercury's moving in there. However, it will square Saturn in your first house of self. Okay. So there is a lot of push towards career, towards ambition, but there's an obstacle in your identity, in your independence, and your instinct. So work becomes, let me work on my identity, on being seen, on how I want to be seen in order to excel in career. On the 11th, Mars opposes Uranus. Again, this is the very mind related areas. Mars in your ninth house of philosophy and belief and travel. And then Uranus change and upheaval in your third house of communication. So be aware of that day on the 11th. It seems like the 10th and 11th seem a little explosive. Let me just put it that way, a little heavy. So it may be that you have Mercury square Saturn, and then you go, wait a minute, I need to actually make a splash in the way I communicate. Okay. So those are the ways those come out, but I do say stay low if you can. Mars opposite Uranus can be pretty explosive. November 13th, there's a new moon in Scorpio. Again, your ninth house of higher learning, beliefs, new horizons, travel, and truth. Opposite Uranus in your third house of communication, learning, and siblings and community. And this is doing something a new way. It's like maybe I'm not traveling as much and I'm staying local. Maybe I have a new philosophy and I know exactly how to communicate it to people, but it's a new phase in your ninth house. And I think that's going to be really nice. On the 14th through 16th, Mercury sextiles Venus. Mercury is in Sagittarius, 10th house of career. Venus is in Libra, 8th house of shared resources, contracts, other people's money. So, like this could be a grant for you. Mercury is the way you think, the way you talk, and it's in your 10th house of career, ambition, and it's in an opportunistic sextile with Venus in your 8th house of other people's money and shared resources. So there is a bolstering here of your career via maybe someone else giving something to you or an investment that you make. Very good time. The 17th, there's a Mars cazimi. It's really powerful. That's why I have a wizard there. In your ninth house of higher learning beliefs, new horizons, travel, truth. This is about going your own way, adventuring out, being the powerful person you are, and telling people about it. I think this Mars Cazimi is going to be really powerful. It's Mars and the sun coming together. You have an aha moment that empowers you. And then we've got Sun in Sagittarius on the 22nd and Mars in Sagittarius on the 24th, both square Saturn. 10th house, career, first house, self. How are you holding yourself back? I think that's the best way to look at it. What work can you do on your own identity, independence, autonomy, authenticity, your looks, even that move you forward in career? Or how can you remove blockages based on your identity and self that help you forward in career? This happened on the 10th with Mercury, so you can refer back to that when you get there. And pay attention because those two themes are going to come up the 10th, 22nd, and the 24th. And then also on the 27th, because there's a full moon in Gemini square Saturn on the 27th. This is going to be a full moon in your fourth house of home and family, square Saturn in your first house of identity. So the full moon's like, shining a light on that home and family area, right? And if for some reason someone has left your home or you have gotten a new home, there is a sense that now that that's happened, I've got to work on myself, my independence, my instincts, and my identity. And that's where the true work is. Okay. Could feel a little bit like an obstacle. But it is, informative either way. And then on the 29th, Venus conjoins the South Node in your eighth house. And this is when you get rid of something that's not working out for you in the area of shared resources, contracts, and other people's money. And it's like, if you had a benefactor and they were paying you, but they're demanding something that you can't do, this would be a time to cut that off, right? You signed a contract to be at a job and it's that contract's up and you're trying to decide whether to renew it. Venus hits the South Node, you may not. Okay. All of those things are possible. This could also have to do with debts and paying them off. It could have to do with taxes and getting rid of being a single person and now being a married person. There's so much going on with Venus hitting the South Node on the 29th there. So do report to me. Thank you very much. That completes our October and November forecasts. Some of it was backwards because I was looking backwards because I just now got a chance to do this. But thank you, Pisces Rising. I'll be back in December for December and January, which I'm very excited for. And I will have your rising sign forecast then, ecstaticastrology.com to book. Thank you in advance, and I will catch you on the flip side.